Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brett Keane from God TV Radio. Tomorrow I'm going to.
Hi, Brett. I don't want to be picky, but you don't mean tomorrow, do you? You mean 27th? That's Wednesday. Today's Monday. Okay?
Be doing a one-on-one discussion between Mr. John Richards from Free Thoughts Productions as well as Kent Hovind. Free Thoughts is an atheist. He's an older man who has participated in a lot of different fields of science, and he is also known as a teacher. Most people know Kent Hovind is a creationist, young earth creationist. And both men will have a very interesting discussion. It's not like Standing for Truth, where Standing for Truth has time debates, which are really good. I've been subscribed to him for some time. It's just two older gentlemen sitting back and talking about the origins of life with no time limit. And basically, whenever they're ready for the conversation to end, that will be the end of it. They could talk for 6 hours, 3 hours, an hour if they want.
Since you have unkindly organized this to be in the middle of my night, when I should be asleep, it won't be more than an hour.
But I think that the discussion will be great. And also, after that, TTOR will be hosting a show on Thursday. I think that he's doing fantastic as a host. And I'm looking forward to him doing more. If there's anyone out there that thinks that they can host long shows from 2 hours, 3 hours, or even beyond that, let me know. I'll be more than happy to talk with you, and perhaps we can work out people doing that, because I'd love to have a consistent show throughout the week. And there's that. All right, so the topic that I'm bringing up today is specifically for Free Thoughts Production, but any atheist out there who wants to respond to this video, you're welcome to post your link or come on my show and talk to me, or you can make a video response. This is a very serious topic. This is something that is very personal to me, something that has meant a great deal for me for quite some time. Free Thoughts, I know that you don't know me very well, but I used to be a hardcore social media atheist for 15 years. It was just recently in the last few years where I became a theist, and then I made my way over to Christianity. But a lot of my views are not, I would say, not agreeable with the way some Christians look at God or the way they view God's nature. There are some Christians out there that are very disturbed by my position, because I have a lot of views about God that I believe are biblical. Some of them are not. Some of them I adopt from other philosophies and views, and then the God of the Bible tends to inherit a lot of the ideas that I have. I'll give you one example before I get into my question. Maltheism. It's the belief that God may also have a dual nature, not just a nature of good, but also the ability to wreak havoc, destruction, chaos, and even, in some instances, evil. Let me get me a drink. My throat's a little dry. It's probably from doing that 12-hour show that, by the way, I hope you don't mind, all my shows end up on the radio for everybody to be able to hear, and I've also got it set up to where people can actually, if they have the right kind of equipment, they can watch video and radio at the same time on Spotify and many other international radio spots. So you're on the radio there, sir. So is a lot of atheists who come on my show. All right, the question is, as you know, whenever you came to visit my room, you grabbed the clip towards the end of our conversation, which I thought was very good and beneficial for anybody listening. I asked you if you were aware that atheists had the highest suicide rate as well as substance abuse.
What is your source of that information, and how was the study conducted? And what did you define atheist to mean? Also, what did you define drug to mean?
I personally believe that drugs and alcohol have depressants in them so they can lead to suicide and depression, or if someone is already depressed, it can cause even more severe problems with what they already have.
Well, you're mistaken there, I'm afraid, because some drugs are depressive and some drugs elevate the mood, uppers and downers. And alcohol, for most people, is a depressant, whereas coffee is a drug and it's a stimulant.
The reason why I bring up suicide rate whenever I'm talking in a lot of different conversations with non believers is because I've had a lot of friends over the years that have been non believers and atheists, and many of them, unfortunately, I have discovered through social media. It makes me sick when I go to their Facebook or their Twitter or one of their accounts and a family member or friend leaves a comment or a post stating that the person has ended their life.
I too have known a couple of friends who killed themselves, but it wasn't caused by a single factor. Their life was shit in many directions. You can't blame it on either theism or atheism. It's a multifactorial effect.
I cared about these people. I loved these people. And I discovered whenever I was a non believer, I felt like I was limited on the things that I could say to them to try to convince them that life had value to it. I used to be not just an atheist, but I was going down a downward spiral into nihilism, which is what I believe atheism does lead to for an atheist eventually if they go down the rabbit hole.
Brett, you can believe what you like. What we need is evidence, and it isn't anecdotal.
I believe that if a person thinks that they're nothing more than an evolved slug or worm-like creature,
Who actually believes they're a slug? Come on.
and if they believe that their existence came here via nothing,
I know of no evidence for the existence of nothing. Do you?
or just because of some random crazy ass energy surge that created the universe.
I know of no one who claims to know how the universe began or even be certain that it did. Why? Because our tools of investigation, including maths, don't work at the 13.8 billion years ago.
And that there's no plan for them, that there's nothing protecting the universe or that loves them, then an atheist will find themselves very quickly in a world where they're questioning, is love even real?
Sure, love is real. It's a feeling, a powerful feeling.
Do they even have a soul?
Where is this soul? Is it in the thorax or the abdomen?
Is there something higher? Is this all there is? Because let's face it, although atheists and religious people at times have those joyful moments, that delicious cookie, that great cup of coffee, that orgasm, whenever they're making love to someone they really care about, when it comes down to it, the life of an atheist can be quite lonely.
Maybe it's lonely being an atheist in the Bible Belt of America, where you're in a community and you're the odd one out, and the community are all very religious. I assure you, it's not a lonely situation here in the UK. I've got lots of friends, and most of Europe is like this.
And as you know, Richard Dawkins, I believe, was the one that said you can't herd cats, and he represented atheists as like that of a cat. I believe that was him that said that.
It may have been him who said that, but he wasn't trying to make it look as though atheists were lonely like cats. He was trying to demonstrate that, like cats, atheists are individuals. They're uncontrollable. We don't have a doctrine. We're not servile, you know?
I believe that if you teach atheism to people or they get inspired or influenced to become a non-believer, that it takes a lot of tools and a lot of things that make us up as a human being away from them. They don't have something to pray to whenever they're having their darkest time because they don't believe there's a God or higher power to talk to.
Once again, belief isn't what's important here, it's evidence. Do you have evidence that there's a God to talk to, or are you talking to thin air?
I myself, I suffer from severe bipolar manic depression, and I felt like I was very alone.
Well, I'm very sorry to hear that. And maybe you will or won't be surprised to hear that you're not the first theistic person that I have met who has that problem. The last one I debated at Manchester University, he found the solution in Islam.
I had my wife and my kids, of course, but I didn't, at the time, I felt like I was an independent critical thinker, and I didn't want to put all my pains and woes and the war that was going on in my head down on my wife.
That was very thoughtful, considerate, and kind of you, Brett. But it seems to me that you want a counsellor, not a wife or me. You know, I'm not trained in that, but that's what you need.
She's a very happy, optimistic person, and I just didn't want to. I knew there was something wrong on my end with the depression and not her fault, and I just didn't want to drag her down with my negativity, if that makes sense. So I kind of kept it all in. I kept it to myself, and I think a lot of non-believers do that, where they don't want to be a burden to some people.
Why would you imagine that's peculiar to non-believers? A lot of people do that. More men than women, in fact. We don't like to reveal our feelings. It's quite common.
And because the world is mostly people of faith.
Do you have any evidence for that claim? I think not. You'll find that only 2 billion people claim to be Christian. Less than that, 1.7 billion claim to be Muslim. The majority of the population of planet Earth is non-faith. And many of those who claim to have a faith don't practice it. They just fill in the form, check the box.
It could be quite hard for a non-believer to go to their friends or their family who are religious, because obviously the first thing a person who is spiritual or religious is going to believe that God will cure and fix every problem, right? You know this.
What you have just illustrated there is the horrible practice of shunning, which religious people do to non-religious people so that they can keep their tribe perfect. Horrible stuff.
And a lot of non-believers are not wanting to hear all that. They're wanting to hear something else. The problem is I don't know what that something else is that can be said to a person who is suicidal or depressed. I myself was not able to find any kind of naturalistic solution to the problem of feeling loneliness or feeling as though I was in darkness as an atheist. I tried to tell myself that I only have one life to live. I used to tell myself that life is a roller coaster ride that has its ups and downs. Instead of killing myself, maybe I should just ride it to the bitter end. And no matter what happens, just go with it and put subjective value into what I do have. Like I knew that I didn't have, whenever I was an atheist, I was absolutely under the acknowledgement that everything around me was subjective, that it was only my opinion that validated meaning or purpose for anybody that I love or care about. I know that how I feel about my children, how I feel about my wife is going to be completely subjective, depending on those who are around my kids and wife. Obviously, other people are not going to see the same value. In fact, my own family apparently does not have the same code of honor or respect for that nuclear family or that family structure that a lot of people strive for. My kids do not have grandparents. They don't have great-grandparents. We have a couple people alive in our family, so the support was definitely not there as a non-believer.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. But it seems to me that what you were missing was a feeling of community. And I've known several people in my interviews who went to religion as a result of losing their family by divorce or death or something, and they looked for a group to belong to. There's nothing to do with, the reality of the God or even disbelief. It's just wanting. We're tribal animals. We're social animals. We want to be with other people.
I truly believe that having God in your life, or at least the belief that God is listening and there, can help a person.
Well, sure, so can a hug from a friend or a teddy bear. Have whatever gives you comfort. I don't mind.
It makes you feel as though you're not an accident. You're not some kind of just a bunch of random chemistry that combined itself and then here you are.
Well, that's just a disrespectful attempt to denigrate human beings. Of course, we're not just a bunch of random chemicals. Haven't you noticed there's been a huge progression of development of complexity and sophistication over billions of years?
I believe that the idea of God actually makes you believe that your entire life is based upon love and that there is goals for you to be able to accomplish. Is where atheism, you kind of just walk through your life and, you just see it as, I got to survive and I guess I'll do this and I'll do that. But at the end of the day, there's even the death problem. There's the concern that, okay, so I'm going to die, and then what? Everything that I love, everything that I care about is gone.
Few people want to die. It would be nice to have an afterlife, wouldn't it? But do you have any evidence for that? Or is it just wishful thinkianity?
I don't fear death for myself, if that makes sense. But I do, I hate going to funerals. I hate seeing my family members dead in a box. I hate seeing my friends whom I grown up with be dead, and then to have to convince myself that that's it, that I'll never see them again. I don't care if I die. In fact, I told you in this entirety of the video that I've had bipolar manic depression, so there's been many times where I could easily see suicide as a way out.
Don't do it, Brett. Get prescribed, and if you have been, keep taking the tablets.
But with the belief in God, that gives me one big extra reason on why I shouldn't. Why I should see that there's something special about life in this world. Because if I didn't have that special thing, and I wasn't able to see life on a higher level like this, or transcending in some way.
Transcending? What's that? Going to fairyland?
If I were to just look at the world through the eyes of an atheist, which I've done for 15 years, this world is absolute shit. It's garbage.
Granted, and much of the shit is because of religion. You want to watch my Global Atheist News? What we've got to do is get off our asses and do something about it. Not pray.
I see people getting unfair treatment. I see non-believers and religious people who get fucked over on a daily basis. And that's hard to swallow. And it's not much, to be honest with you, it's not much better, even when you do throw God into the mix, because then, of course, at the end of the day, you're asking, why did God allow this for?
Yeah, that's a clue. Appealing to God doesn't work.
Why did God allow a good Christian family to lose their child to leukemia? Why did a good, kind atheist end up losing their mother or their father or someone that they love over some unnecessary accident that never needed to happen, such as some kid fucking around on a telephone or a wireless while driving down the road and ends up running into your loved ones and taking them all out. I have tons of questions. Just because I've become someone of faith doesn't mean that I stop thinking about the reality of the world, as atheists like to put it. It's something I struggle with daily, but the belief in God does help. I guess whenever it all comes down to it, the question I have is, being that I'm like I am, and I do believe, even though I believe in God, that I'm also a person with critical thought and questioning, is how do I help out others if I don't have the tools to use, such as God, and that there's something greater going on in this universe?
You help out others in the same way that all secular people do, by actually doing something, not just praying for, somebody else to do something. In this country, the UK, we donate millions, and there's no mention of churches. Watch some of our telethons. Millions.
If I can't tell someone that tomorrow will be a better day because that's a faith-based response, if I can't tell people that they're loved,
The universe loves them? What is this? Andromeda? A black hole? The Milky Way?
and that the universe does care for them, and that there's a plan, what can I tell a non-believer? That life, I can't say life is going to get better because I don't know if it's going to get better.
Correct. Nobody can predict the future. We don't know whether it's going to get better or worse. I bet those people in the Ukraine didn't know they were going to be bombed to hell a month ago.
As an atheist, I can't tell them that everything will work itself out, things will get better. These are all faith-based assertions. This is not something that a critical person of thought would say, especially if there is nothing predetermined or set up to begin with. So what would you do, John? The reason why I'm asking you this specifically, and I'm sharing all this, is because you are a man who said that you work for a group that is for recovering believers. People who are going over to atheism and they're having a difficult time with their transition.
That's not entirely true, Brett. I don't work for recovering from religion, but what I did do was I ran a fundraising marathon, and I pulled in about 800 quid for them. So if that's work, that's what I did.
What do you say to a person who is struggling in their life?
I say to them, what can I do to help? Or if I can't do anything to help, how can I get you the help that you need?
Does it make sense to tell them everything's going to work itself out? Things will be fine?
It makes sense to give them encouraging remarks, but it doesn't make sense to offer them promises that you can't deliver. That would be deception.
They're loved? Because if you don't have God and religion, then there's no obligation for an atheist to just simply love everybody or care about everybody.
Again, you have this warped idea of what an atheist is. We're human. We behave in a humanitarian way. We have empathy. We've evolved to look after each other, because if we do that, we get more cooperation and together we succeed. Or we have a better chance anyway.
Unless you have been raised up in some kind of religion to teach you that we're all cosmic family members, that we should love each other.
What do you mean by being raised in some religion? I bet you don't mean being raised in Islam.
I understand that through evolution, a lot of people believe they're related to damn near everything.
Again, this isn't a matter of belief. The evidence is incontrovertible. Look at the DNA. It's common. Even the tiniest little creatures share the same enzymes for respiration and digestion and so on and so forth.
From strawberries to sponges through evolution, but using evolution as a way to try to pull somebody out of severe depression.
That makes no sense. How could you use evolution as a treatment? Evolution operates on populations, not individuals, and usually it takes a very long time. So it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't seem very useful. It doesn't seem helpful. Saying, oh, we all evolved from the slime together, and we're just cosmic stardust kids just trying to do our thing.
There you go, disrespecting the human species once again. Yes, cosmic stardust did give rise to the elements of which we are made, but that was billions of years ago. Have you not noticed something's happened since?
Where's the value in it? What's the benefit? What's the advantage? What is the anything with that? At the end of the day, if you don't have the tools according to evolution, if you don't have the utilities that you require according to non-believers, then you simply don't survive.
Well, value is a subjective judgment. It doesn't come down from above. Individuals make it, juries make it, politicians make it, businessmen make it. And okay, we won't survive. But that's not just non-believers who think that. The Pope believes in evolution. Everybody who's got the slightest opportunity to study the subject accepts it. You don't have to believe it because it's true.
You simply die. And it's too bad, and nature doesn't give a shit. Nature doesn't care if you suffer. It doesn't care if you're in turmoil. And it's one of the reasons why it frightens me, the idea of so many non-believers doing the shows and the videos that they do. Because I know for a fact that there are children out there that are sick and dying. I know there are adults out there that are on their last leg. They've got one foot in the grave, and they're being told by other people that there's simply no reason whatsoever, that it's actually irrational and illogical to have any kind of hope whatsoever.
Nonsense. Do you think you own hope? It's got nothing to do with gods. We can all be optimistic.
Does that make sense? I know for a fact that there was a young girl a while back. She was between 13 and 14 years old, and she found out she had cancer. And she was strumming through the YouTube channels, watching videos, especially of non-believers, because she was trying to find the truth. She wanted to know what was going to happen whenever she died. What do you think brought her more happiness? What do you think was better for her and her family? To believe that there's a transition she will make, that she will be a part of another life?
I'm sorry. I would prefer truth over deception any day. If I'm going to die, I want to know about it.
Something where she will never suffer or have pain anymore? That one day she'll be with her mother and father?
She'll be with her mother and father? Where? Do you have any evidence for this? Or are you giving false hope?
Or would it be better to tell her, I'm sorry, but you unfortunately got bad mutations. Your genetics weren't up to par. So now you die. And it's over.
You're obviously not very skilled at this, are you? Ministering to the very sick. Don't tell them baldly like that. Say that we're going to do everything we can for you and make your existence as comfortable as possible.
You'll never laugh again. What do you do? How do you handle things like that? How do any atheists handle things like that?
Nobody pretends that it's easy, whether atheist or theist. I was with my first wife when she died, far too young. It's difficult.
I know a lot of you out there, you're just trying to have fun and you're just trying to live what little life you believe you have. But when you have those moments where you sit down in the darkness and you're staring at the shadows on the wall, what comes to mind? What happens when you find yourself slipping down the rabbit hole? All right. I hope this doesn't offend you by me saying this, but God bless, and I'm going to pray for you as well as all the non-believers out there.
I'm not offended, Brett. I know you mean it well. I tell you what, I'll weave a spell for you.
I would love to be able to hear your response. Do the best you can. I'll be listening.